Welcome in to Red River North, right here on Total Coverage Sports. Randy Heitz, Dave Myrick, 1077 The Franchise, flagship station of Oklahoma Athletics. Randy, how we doing tonight, man?
Good, man. It's a bye week. It's great. Just a dead week. Nothing going on. Just ready for the next game, right?
Yeah, there's no news coming out of the state of Oklahoma the last couple days. Look, bro, I'm gonna take this right off the bat and get. We're gonna start off with OU Auburn recap because it was a really good football game. It kind of got overshadowed by some BS there, but Randy, we talked about it last week, man. I think everything kind of unfolded the way we saw. I didn't think Hugh Freeze was dumb enough to come in and try to run the football. They did try to stretch the field vertically. They had some success with that. Again, we talked about their wide receivers being really good last week, and they are. That hadn't changed. They made some plays. I was really impressed. Oklahoma across the board. Sloppy play still. It was reminiscent of Michigan. You got all the momentum. You feel they're just about to get some insurance. And a fumble. Reminded me just of the muff punt. But I was impressed seeing them overcome, a lot of adversity and coming back when they needed to at the end.
No doubt. I think when you look at the game as a whole, I know Auburn fans want to talk about the officials, and we'll get into everything like that. But I thought the game as a whole, Oklahoma did what they needed to do. And I'll admit, they didn't quite do as much as I thought they were going to be able to do against Auburn. But also, I think part of that was, and this is where I'm going to go to the officials on both sides of the ball, there was no flow to that game, Dave.
Oh, no, it was.
From either side, it felt like every time something either team got going one way or the other, flag, flag, flag. And I know you didn't go into the game, but you got to watch it, I'm sure, like you did. But inside the game, every time you're like, oh, there's a flow. Then there were like, I don't care if they were against Auburn, there were like three straight penalties or Oklahoma. And you're just going, dude, can this game, you know, just get something going for both teams positively? And it was ugly, but overall, that's why I give OU credit that they fought through a lot of that stuff. They didn't let it affect them. They just kept grinding, and that's where I go back to the freshman Cortland Gilroy. You talked about the receivers. Hugh Freeze knew a freshman was out there. He picked on him, and you know what the kid did? Didn't get discouraged. We've seen young defensive backs like that, Dave, that almost that ends their career. When
Yeah.
they get beat two or three times and pass interfere, and mentally it gets to them. And that's if you want to take a positive out of Guillory getting burnt a few times, was the bounce back that he had. That's what impressed me the most. I was very impressed with that Saturday.
No, I tweeted after the game about Guillory. I didn't see a bad game. Yeah, look, Cam Coleman's going to get his. I don't care who he's going up against. He's, the top three wide receiver in college football. And Guillory on a couple of those was in really good position. Yeah, he got beat early, but he got back in time to at least be a factor on the play. A couple of those, you just have to tip your cap to making the better play. But, Jackson Arnold, it was about what we thought he is, right? He's a quarterback that I thought Hugh Freeze didn't trust a whole lot. A lot of the passing was just go routes. That takes a lot of guesswork out of the equation for a quarterback. You didn't see a lot of intermediate shots trying to throw into zone, tough coverage. For Oklahoma, it was no, mystery what they were trying to do on defense. When Jackson Arnold threw it, pressure, pressure, pressure. They finished with 10 sacks across the board. I thought the defense played outstanding. That defensive line is what we touted all offseason. It's one of the best we've ever seen in Norman. Didn't let us down this weekend. They're going to need it to keep going, and be even stronger now. We'll talk about the news in a little bit, but against Auburn, they were absolutely fantastic all over the place.
No doubt. And that's what was so impressive. And that defensive line, and, we all talk about it. And I know Kelly Gregg, was always on the franchise, and he was talking about where was Don Williams and Jaden Jackson on one of the drives, why David Stone and the guys in there, nothing against them. But actually, I looked at Saturday's game as David Stone's coming out party, if
Yes,
you will. I
same.
mean, you look at him and you look what he did. We know that game, you watch that game and you're going, oh, that's why he was the number one defensive lineman in the country when he came out. All of a sudden, he's making plays. That one sack that he got where he reversed course and went all the way around Jaden Jackson to get the pressure, Dave. That's when you look at it and you go, that's what NFL scouts are drooling about. A guy with his size and that athleticism, that's what made me wake up and go, okay, David Stone has arrived. All of a sudden, they were already deep and you knew they were good. But with what David Stone did on Saturday, you're going, oh,
Yeah,
okay. Now you got a guy that is playing like a top 5 draft pick potentially. I mean, he's got to string them together now.
sure.
But that was the first in line where you're going, hello, David. Yeah, you're welcome to college football.
I thought when he came to Norman, you kind of have flashbacks of Ed Oliver at Houston being a very dominant DT and what they can do. I kind of thought when he got there, that's what he would look like. Last year, we didn't see it. This year, it's starting to show exactly like that. You have a dominant superstar in the middle of your defense to go along with a lot of other guys. And that is where, Randy, that's why they get 10 sacks, because it's not like you've got two really good pass rushers on the outside like most teams. They've got to contend with these bulls coming up the middle at the same time. You've only got enough guys to protect. I mean, that's why they're getting home like that. They needed it on Saturday. That was a 4-quarter war that came down to, the last series of the game. I didn't think Auburn was going to be easy. I just didn't. I didn't think OU's offense was at a point where they can just line up and score at will or run at will against that Auburn front seven, which, by the way, they're really good as well. Got some problems on the back end. But overall, I thought offensively for Oklahoma, the first half Mateer was just off. And it comes to find out, we probably know why.
Yeah.
But I thought that he looked sped up. I thought he was holding on to the ball too long. And in the second half, I thought they made an adjustment. When he's looked his best this year, the ball is out in time and on target. And I thought when he stopped holding the ball and they went back to the short passing game, especially on the last drive that ended up winning the football game, that's what it looked like. It was hitting his step of a drop and the ball is out. And they were letting guys do their thing after the catch. Come to find out, that might have forced the hand a bit since he had a broken hand or a broken bone in his hand. But the pass to Satania on the last drive that they reviewed, you cannot run down and put that in his hand any better. That was an absolute dime.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And we'll get into that because, I thought, like you, he seemed a little rushed and a little off in the first half. I think we know why now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I think he completed his last 11 and 15 and 16, we'll never find out. But they didn't know it was broken at the time. Yeah, do a little shoot up. And guess what? That's why I think you saw the offense in a much better rhythm. And they came out to start that second half. They went speed, they went tempo. Everything that they didn't do in the first half, they did. And it makes sense now. If he broke his hand in that one video, like we've seen on that first drive, that changes everything. That changes what you want to do because no telling he was probably having to figure out different way to grip the ball where it wasn't just causing excruciating pain.
Yep.
That's the reason he was overthrowing. So that's where I'm like, you kind of wonder if he'd have been healthy. Is it as close a game? It's still close. I'm not saying they would have whitewashed Auburn, but is it as close a game at that point in time? Because all of a sudden you could run the offense. He's able to make his throws. And that's why he got shot up at halftime because that was totally different. Totally different John Mateer. That was more the Mateer we saw all season long. And real fast, Mr. Random, just one other thing on defense. He's right. Kip and Sammy had really good games. And I think Kobe McKenzie showed why he's the true leader on that defense. Even when he wasn't making tackles, when you watch that, and I set up in the upper deck, Dave, you could watch him because he's the coach to player. He was seeing things, I think, even before coaches were telling him, making movements. That's what makes this defense so good. Not only that down line, but those linebackers. And I think one other thing we got to give credit to before we fully move to offense, our Mason Thomas didn't play the first half. And we said there would be a drop off. To be honest with you, Dave, I don't know if we saw a drop off in the defensive ends in the first half. That's a credit to PJ and his development. And you mentioned it last week how important Marvin Jones out of the portal was. That's a credit to both of those guys, especially, and what they've meant to this program this year. So that was kind of the last thing I want to say on defense because I think it would be ill-advised for us just not to mention how well the defensive ends played.
No, I agree. We didn't see a drop off at all. What we saw in the second half was like your bonus addition. A guy unleashed on top of a really good defensive end. Got to shout out Taylor Wine. He's got the what do they call that? The hustle sack and the first possession. When Jackson had 4 seconds to throw. And Randy, I've also got to shout out the secondary. A lot of those sacks were coverage sacks because he had to hold the ball too long. Now, granted, a lot of that is Jackson Arnold being Jackson Arnold, but you've got to cover Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. That's easier said than done. So I mean, the OU secondary had it was just a great simultaneous deal between all three levels of the Oklahoma defense. Played outstanding against an offense I think that's going to score some points. Kobe McKenzie, as you said, why that's important. He took over for Stutzman at what spot? Mike Backer, the quarterback of the defense. And yeah, his read and reaction time this year opposed to, previous seasons is off the chart, and they're nowhere near as good without Kobe McKenzie, which it's funny, Mr. Random made us bring that up. His grandson, Kobe McKenzie, is his grandson's favorite player. So we might have to work something out to get him an autograph one of these days. But
We might be able to work that. Yeah, I've got a few contacts.
but yeah, I mean, he's right. Kip and Sammy had a great game. I don't want it to all be sunshine and roses. It wasn't. But in my opinion, Auburn is a really good football team. They're going to be a pain in the ass for everybody they play in the SEC. And we needed to see this under Brent. I mean, stringing good games together. Michigan was a good win. You go to Temple, you get them beat, whatever. You come back home and you do it again. That's what we need to start to see. They're just right where we thought they needed to be. Undefeated going to Texas, and they get kicked in the absolute nuts yesterday. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's a loss, but I think what we've seen out of the games we've just talked about, Dave, is reason to sit here and go. I mean, the doom and gloom that was out there yesterday was amazing to me. Because if this was last year, heck, even the year Dylan Gabriel was here, I totally get the doom and gloom, Dave. I totally get it.
Sure.
But when you've got a defense on the side of the ball like Oklahoma's got, I mean, it's going to be against Texas, and I know we can talk about the injury in a little while, but it's going to be against Texas, right? How about this? Texas is given 211 yards a game up in total yards. Oklahoma's given 206. Oklahoma's played two good opponents. Texas has played one. So have a belief in what that defense is able to do. That's kind of me. It's like you look at this, and then the other belief I have, again, is not John Mateer. We saw Michael Hawkins get a lot better in 15 days of practice under Ben Arbuckle before the bowl game, right? Did he not look like a totally different quarterback? That was in 15 days with Arbuckle. I got a feeling he's going to be better than he was last year. He's going to be able to complete passes. He's going to have more composure. And that's why I don't think, because we can talk about when Mateer comes back, and I think there's anywhere because Jared Goff had the same injury a few years back. And if you remember, he came back in 12 days.
No, it's possible. I mean, I've heard everything from 3 weeks to 5 weeks to 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, you never know. It's all about the individual, how they respond. So we'll see on that. I agree with Michael Hawkins. I think he can come in and hold serve for Oklahoma. I think the defense is elite enough. They're going to hold them in every single game that they're in. And people have to remember this offense, even with Mateer, was nowhere near the ceiling. I mean, Ben Arbuckle's been in Norman for months, not even a year yet. So you have to, have him go through reps with the ones now, get on the same page as the wide receivers. And I think he can be a serviceable quarterback. Tough duty against the Texas Longhorns and that defense, but you're right. The Oklahoma defense should do their part in that game. And this is making the assumption Mateer's not back, which we don't know that. But I think Michael Hawkins, you would rather have a guy that has a road SEC win under his belt than a guy that doesn't. Hawkins went to a very tough environment at Auburn last year and got that win. So we know he's got experience. We know he wants to beat Oklahoma. To me, that means something when you don't transfer out, knowing you're not going to be the starting quarterback. You gut it out for moments like this. Now he's got his moment on the grand stage. Is there a good time for this to happen? No, never. But going into a bye week, then Kent State, then Texas, Randy, you look on the schedule, it couldn't have happened at a better spot for Oklahoma.
No doubt. And I'm going to say this too for Oklahoma fans and college football fans in general. It's time to refocus your brain on what college football is. Texas, you want to win as an Oklahoma fan. I get that. It's the end all. It's the big game on the schedule for you, right? Year in and year out. But also the big picture is to make the college football playoff. So as much as you want John Mateer to come back, if you're OU, you don't rush him because here's the deal. You can lose 2, maybe 3 games and still make your ultimate goal, the college football playoff. So I'm just like, let's make sure the injury's healthy if you're Oklahoma before you put him in there. Don't rush it back just because it's Texas week. I know that's a big game. And And I'll be honest, I feel bad for Brent Venables. As much crap as he's taken over the years, this
Yeah,
will be his third game out of four where he goes in without his starter,
I know.
starting day one.
Unbelievable.
It's just it's insane, man. I mean,
Unbelievable.
it's just bad luck for Brent Venables because the one time he had a starter, yeah, they had to dramatically come back and win, but that offense was clicking. They were doing things, and it proved that they can win this game. But it feels like they've always had one arm tied behind their back, and that's one reason. If you remember at the start of the year, Dave, I said I don't care what situation they're in a better situation quarterback wise this year than there ever has been before if you did lose material because the faith you should have in what Michael Hawkins was able to do in a start at Auburn, what he is able to do in the bowl game. And think about that. That was with the depleted offensive line, no receivers last year when he did all that. He should have Giovanni Gibson back. That was good news that came out today, you know, and the rest of that receiving core. And you would think, Michael Fasusi, who, yes, he was on the injury report and then was able to play Saturday but didn't play. You would think he's going to be back by Texas. All those things that were not there for Hawkins last year, he's going to have. To me, that is
Yeah.
a big, big positive for them.
No, I agree, man. I mean, look, there's reason, of course. You find out the news if you're an OU fan. No, you don't want to lose the Heisman Trophy leader in college football and one of the most dynamic athletes in any sport. But the good news there is you've got a serviceable backup that you've seen play. He's got experience. You have to think working reps. Yes, with Arbuckle since he arrived in an offense, it's an actual system that makes the first and second reads easier on a quarterback. That should benefit Michael Hawkins. So we'll see, man. I think he can be serviceable enough and maybe win a game or two. They need him, but John Mateer's got to get back, for the longevity of the team and all the goals. And that's what sucks, man. It's not like a fandom thing, a pulling for somebody thing. I was really getting intrigued with Oklahoma because of this defense, because of all the stuff that we talked about in the preseason. That's what it looks like. And you got an offense that is nowhere near where they're going to be. But with more reps, with Ben Arbuckle, they're the right trigger guys, John Mateer, they're going to get better. And if they match the level of that defense eventually, this team can beat anybody in college football. And that's right where your head is after Auburn. And then, bam, you get the news yesterday. So I think it was just the initial shock of kind of what I'm talking about, not to mention the fact he looked really good in the second half against Auburn. So people are like, wait, what? Why is he having surgery? But it's the best thing to do for now and later. But it's just the initial shock. People have to choke it down, realize that things will be okay. They've got a great team around Michael Hawkins. Special teams is really good. Defense is elite. But somebody commented something I did want to touch on. Yeah, is there any concern for the OU run game? Bet your ass there's a concern. I don't know what the fix is. We've seen Xavier Robinson. We've seen Blaylock. We've seen Jaden Knott. We've seen different offensive line combinations. Nothing is really consistently working for Oklahoma. And if Michael Hawkins is going to have success, they better damn well figure it out, or teams are going to load the box and say, guess what, big boy, let's see if you really can throw it.
Well, I'll say this, too, though, on the run game. I think it's still an unproven product, an unanswered question, because Richard McCleary is the one that asked that question. Because the offensive line that they want to go with, and we know they want to go with, has been healthy one game. They got to play together really once. That was Michigan.
Wearing thin 2 years in a row, man. I know it's there, but it's
excuse. It's the truth, Dave. I mean, whether it's not an offensive line, you know this, and you can talk to any offensive lineman in the country. If you don't play with each other every day, it's a unit that has to gel and play together.
I know.
And that's why Kent State is a huge game. I mean, to be honest, that's where alarm flags go off for me, is if they're not back healthy for that game. Because you want that one game against Kent State for that 5 to be out there and go, hey, you know what? I know we're playing a crap team. You can put up 70 points, but we need you in there for at least 3 quarters to just start gelling.
Yes.
And so that's where, and if they don't run the ball at that point, that's where there's concern. But all of a sudden, you got to get in there and go, hey, get in there. Fasusi, it's time. Hopefully he's healthy. Howland, it's nothing against Howland, but he doesn't need to be in there as much.
No, he doesn't.
Get the starters in there and get them healthy. I mean, I think we all knew the injury report, and there were going to be several guys not play last week. We saw that, and that was a question mark. And when you're mixing match and offensive line, it's just the way it is. It's part of football. And you look in the NFL, it happens the same way.
Oh no, I
And
think it's just wearing thin because it's 2 years in a row we've heard the same thing. And you know, I will say this to that: when they have had the right offensive line combinations the last 2 years, the running backs have not looked that they're not exactly tearing it up. And Gavin Sawchuk goes to Florida State, looks pretty good. Hollywood Smothers goes to NC State, looks pretty good. Tawi Walker at Wisconsin looks pretty good. So I think that combined with what well, I think that's that combined with what they're not seeing on the field from the running back position has people like, what exactly is not going on in Norman on top of the Jade Knott drama? Will he play? Will he not? So I'm right there with you. I thought at Temple, you know, Fasusi had a boot on and it came out afterwards, probably could have played if it was a bigger game. All right, that crap's out the window. Get the 5 on the field. It's your best 5. Roll with it and get those guys in a rhythm, or this team's not going to go anywhere with Michael Hawkins at quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a running game. And really, it's not going to go anywhere with Mateer quarterback. I mean, to be honest with you.
I agree.
And so they've got to be, but that's where I do get, if he was still
banged up at all, I get not using Fasusi against Auburn. It's kind of the same material factor, you know, that we just talked about. It's not good to put him back in there and go out there and play, and then all of a sudden you realize, crap, all he did is re-aggravate it, and now he's out 3 weeks, you know? So that's why I think Kent State's big. That is the week with this bye week, with him not playing against Temple, with him not playing last week against Auburn. I mean, that is what, 1, 2, 3. It'll be the 4th Saturday on game day against Kent State. They need to have that line in there, you know, and that's kind of the point. That's why I don't have a big problem. It's easy to overact just because fans are crazy, and I get it. I can be a fan too, but it's like, dude, would you rather have them then, or hey, go out and play really hard against Auburn and then find out they're in a walking boot for the month of October, which is a huge month? No, I mean, unfortunately, settle down, let them get ready. Kent State needs to be the jump off point to me, just to start gelling that unit together. And to your point on running backs, I get fans, but also Tyree Walker wasn't even the starter in Wisconsin. Dylan Smothers was playing North Carolina State, where he's played some games and had good yardage against crap defenses. And I'm not taking anything away from the kid, because I'll say this too. Even if Dylan Smothers here, he's not sniffing the field in front of any of the guys that's on the field right now. You know, I mean, that's
they're not doing any better than Smothers, and OU's played some crap opponents as well.
Yeah, but in the one
real crap opponent they played, Temple especially, they got a 100-yard rusher.
Yeah, they did better and late in the game when the D got wore down. I'm not seeing progress from that spot for 2 years now. Really, the O-line or running back. So I mean that to me is the only hindrance for this team moving forward. They've got everything else. They got the quarterback, they got the wide receiver, they got the tight ends, they've got the defense, they got special teams. Waiting on those 2 units for the second year in a row is becoming a little bit like, okay, let's begin to see some progress here. And I don't know where it's going to come from. Blaylock is good. He needs some help. He can't do it the entire game with a true freshman frame. Xavier Robinson has disappeared. Taylor Tatum is nowhere to be found. Jade Knott, God, good luck. I don't know.
Tatum still has a soft cast on his hand. So, I mean, I don't think we'll see him for a little while. You know, I mean, now granted, that's 2 more weeks with after the soft cast, he might be able to play against Kent State. And Jay, not a mental thing, and he's right, Mr. Random. And I think it was Kelly, Greg, and Jerry were talking about it today, where they said put Ott in and let him just go against Kent State. You know, because to be honest, he's a guy I think right now it's such a mental thing. It almost needs to be like you're forcing him in there, and Kent State to me is the perfect game to force him in there to see, can you get through it mentally? You know, Jaden, here you go. You're the starter. You're in there. You're playing. Here's 25 carries. And I'm not saying he's truly going to get 25, because if after 10 he looks like the same timid Jaden Knott and he can't get over it mentally, fine. You know, maybe that's it. But you at least force him to get to that point where you have to look at him and go, kid, what's going on? And I think that's why I think Kent State's kind of at the perfect time to work through some of this stuff, especially with Jade Knott. You know, I mean, I would start him that game,
And even though I know they're going to load the box, I don't give a crap what Kent State does.
Oh,
You know,
oh,
and I want to get Hawkins comfortable with the receivers in game action. I'm going, hey, Hawk, about the first 10 plays of the game, you're doing nothing but handing off to Jade Knott.
yeah. I agree with that. I mean, why not, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna beat Kent State. I don't care how it eventually gets there. You're going to have more points than they do when it ends. So you might as well get this guy on the field and see if he's worth what everybody thought he was, or if they took a chance on a guy thinking he was going to be better than he was coming off of an injury, and he's just not there yet. I don't know, but they need to get that sorted out. Xavier Robinson, another guy, looked really good last year, and he can't get a carry this year, even with not much going on in front. I don't know, man, but that needs to get fixed. Kent State, hopefully, is the game that it does. Having a healthy offensive line, no doubt, will help. We got another comment. Richard McCleary. Sorry, I made the font too small here. It looked like the corners were left on islands, and JA took advantage of that due to Auburn off scheme. More the defensive game play against Auburn. Randy, I think it's OU being very aggressive and trusting their cornerbacks.
I think that's what it was because really the main one that was left on the island, it seemed like was the freshman, which is crazy.
Good luck.
I mean, but and if you go back and actually the first big play, if you go back and watch the game film, it looked like he was left on an island. Peyton Bowen actually misstepped and he stepped forward instead of going back. It was a good play action, and it was like that half step because again, how fast Coleman is. That's all it took. So some of it was a couple of misplays on some people that were supposed to help, and some of it was just I think they have confidence in their corners and they want to be aggressive. So good or bad, I don't know. But I think it's good to test the young freshmen like that, especially in a game at home. You'd rather do it at home than on the road.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, I'm going to add to that. This game, it ended up being kind of like I thought, a four-quarter game. It shouldn't have been. Again, OU with a 10-3 lead is driving in the second. That offense is humming, and you've got a turnover on the mesh point. And if they can avoid things like that, I guess when Mateer gets back and healthy, it'll be. This is a very good football team, Randy. I think they played better than the score shows against Michigan, and I think they played better than the score shows against Auburn. But they won those games, and in Brent's previous years, that has not always been the case. It's just now a matter of piecemealing this thing together with a backup quarterback enough to hold serve. How many ever games that ends up being. And you're right, nobody wants to lose to Texas. They're tired of it, 34-3, whatever, at 45-0. They're tired of those scores. They've heard it. But you can't sacrifice the entire season by rushing John Mateer back to win that game. You can lose Texas and still have your season. You lose Mateer, and that's a rough deal.
No doubt. I mean, that's kind of the thing there. It's just like it's very important. It's the game. It's the fans' game. But there's a bigger picture involved. There is a bigger picture. And real fast, Mr. Random also gifted 2 interceptions. You can't pick. All those things go into it. As far as that game being as close as it was. The defense has to take care of those opportunities they get, And I think if they do that, Oklahoma's a really good shot of, 1 loss in the month of October, 2 losses in the month of October, maybe, And if you're in that spot going into that November schedule, Oklahoma's in great shape to be in the playoff conversation in November. And every OU fan that wants to bitch and complain right now about a loss here or a loss there, they would have given their left nut to be in that spot in November coming into the start of the season. I mean, how many of them thought, oh, this is over, Brent's fired? Guess what, folks? They're in a spot to be one of the better teams in the country. Deal with it. Injuries happen to every team. And they just got to, like you say, find a way to work through it. And I don't think it's as much piecemeal because I think the offense is going to be a lot better. And I disagree, Mr. Random here. OU will play vanilla offense regardless. I don't think they're going to play too vanilla next week. It'll be maybe, how about this? It'll be Neapolitan. There's going to be vanilla mixed in there, Dave. But back to a point, they're going to want, Hawk and the receivers in game action to get kind of meshed together and get gameplay. They're probably going to have to open up the playbook a little more than what they would have wanted to if John Mateer was still the quarterback. because you got to get them on that same page before that big game in Dallas the next week.
No, you do, and I think a lot of people were tripping out about you lose the rushing of John Mateer. I think that is where a lot of people's concern came from because the lack of a traditional run game that we've been talking about. But you got to remember, Michael Hawkins can run the football. That first drive on the
Actually, to be honest, sorry, Dave, he
I
might
think
be better.
I think he's faster, no doubt about it. Now, having the wherewithal and the instincts on where to go and when to go, yeah, Mateer's got that by a country mile. But yeah, Hawkins can run. They're just going to have to get people out of the box because I guarantee you, with Michael Hawkins back there, until he proves otherwise, they're going to load it up and say, you're not going to run Michael Hawkins for very, very many yards. You're not going to run the ball on us. Number 9 has got to complete some passes. So I'm with you. I think next week, Kent State, it's go 5 wide, let him get in a rhythm of his wide receivers. And if Jade Knott plays, maybe the second half is when you turn zero loose and say, go show us what you got, kid, or give us a refund on the $1 million. I don't know. It's going to be it's a lot more fascinating all of a sudden, to play Kent State than it was a week ago heading into it because of this. But yeah, they're in a great spot. I mean, we all talked about if you can get to Dallas undefeated, you got to love where you're at. If you're Oklahoma, you're in a spot that maybe John Mateer can come back in a month. That makes him miss the Texas game, maybe back for South Carolina, which by then that looks like the last, what we could say is a winnable game without kind of a 50-50 toss-up for Oklahoma. So everything's right in front of them still. Nothing is lost.
No doubt. And I'm going to go one step further. You get Mateer back, after South Carolina. I think the goal that I had for this team, if they really want to take that next step, not just win enough games for Brent to keep his job, right? If they want to take that next step, it was go undefeated at home. And I think, Mateer gets back after South Carolina. I think they're still in that same position with everyone they have left on their schedule, on their home schedule, to go undefeated at home. And that is a big step when you look at what's left on their schedule at home, Dave.
Yeah, that would be LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri. You got some big games coming up. And I the way I looked at this team coming in with the roster they have, the defense that we knew they had, to me, this year was going to be a disappointment if OU was not at least fighting for one of the spots in the SEC championship game. I still see that for Oklahoma. I'm factoring in the Mateer injury. I'm not assuming he's back against Texas. I still think they're one of those teams because they're really freaking good and they've got a national championship caliber defense, yes, but there's just not that team in the SEC or teams where you're like, that's definitely a loss for Oklahoma. I don't see that out there.
No, I think really right now you look at it, the SEC, I will still say, is probably the best conference in the country, right? But with that being said, to your point, I don't think there's a dominant team in college football across the country, and that trickles down to the SEC. Like Alabama, Georgia this weekend, I think Georgia wins because I'm still not sold on Bama. I don't give a crap what they've done against Trash Can State for the last 3 weeks. I mean, they got destroyed by Florida State, and I don't think Florida State's necessarily that good. I mean,
yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. I look at that and I go, yeah, here we go. You go out there and you just got to compete. Now, will they maybe be one of those last 2 teams in that fight for the SEC title game? Who knows? Because I think it's going to come down to everyone's going to lose a game or 2 in this conference potentially. So it's who's helping out who at that point. It may not be because they're not good enough. It may just because, dang, you really needed Mississippi State to pull off that upset if you wanted to be one of those teams. But I think, when you get down to it, there are going to be about 4 or 5 teams going into that last 3 weeks. And Oklahoma's got a great shot to be one of those 4 or 5 teams in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's a great year. If that LSU game to round things out in Norman, I think Thanksgiving weekend, if they come in and there's a lot on the line for both teams, Oklahoma especially, I think that points to them having the kind of year that we're talking about. And that's at least being in contention for conference championships and possibly more. And as a fan base, that's all you can ask for from a team and from a head coach. I would hate it because this defense, I think, is special. It's one of the better ones that we've seen in a long time in Norman, and I think they've got the right trigger man at quarterback and a lot of weapons on offense. I would hate to see it end just there. I still think that they're one of the top 7 or 8 teams in college football, in my opinion, and this injury I hate to keep going back to it, but it's going to play a part. But I still say Michael Hawkins, as Mr. Random said, was 19 to 30, 148 yards, and no interceptions against Texas or touchdowns, 20 rushes for 27 yards. That's a very good defense the Longhorns have. That's going to be an uphill battle if he doesn't have help out of the backfield with some kind of run game. But I still think he can hold serve. Take that game and throw it out the window, whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
They go on the road, South Carolina. Mateer's back. He's not back. I think Hawkins can beat South Carolina. And then, yeah, hopefully you get John Mateer back, and everything still, as I've said the second time, is out in front of this team. All their goals are still there.
100%. No, I mean, no doubt. And I think Mr. Random's right. I mean, you look at those numbers for Hawkins. He did not play bad against Texas last year. And let me repeat yet again, it isn't even so much the offensive line, but that receiving unit last year,
Yeah.
there was nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing. Look at the receivers this year. Even if they just go with their top three and Lewis, Burks, and Satania are the only ones that play, those three are better than the depth that they put out on the field last year. That gives you belief that, hey, if Michael Hawkins can go 19 for 30 for 148 yards last year, he's going to do a lot better than that this year against Texas. And again, it doesn't mean they're going to win, but that's why I think, to your point, even South Carolina, if Mateer's not back, they can go on the road with Michael Hawkins and win that game.
Agreed.
Better last year, and that was without a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator. And I
Yeah.
know we heard things in fall camp from the coaches. They really like his development. I think there's a reason they didn't really go try to find even another guy to back up Mateer this year. After the bowl game prep and Arbuckle being around him, he likes what he sees out of Hawkins. You know, this isn't just a I don't have belief, so but we're stuck with Hawkins.
Right.
I think they have a belief that even if Mateer left this year, let's say Mateer gets back, only misses Texas, and he goes up because I know what's his name? McShay was tweeting about the NFL draft with Mateer this week after he got hurt. He's a guy already being considered for the draft. Let's say Mateer goes pro. I don't think he'll use just jumping into the portal to find a quarterback because I think they feel good about what they have in Michael Hawkins. That's where I think it's easy, like you said earlier, to panic and feel just doom and gloom after the injury because it sucks losing a Heisman front runner.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not like it's chopped liver on the bench. You're not throwing what I'm basically trying to tell you fans. Braden, because people were making jokes like this on the franchise listeners when they were texting in. You're not having to line up Braden Willis or Eric Gray back there to play quarterback. They have a legit quarterback that is going to step in and start for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Where's the Davis Bevel love on the franchise, man?
Alex Soroka.
Oh, win-win. No, look, Hawkins didn't chop liver, and yeah, they feel good about him. That's indeed what we heard. I think having Arbuckle's system, right, that's quarterback friendly. We've seen Cam Ward, we've seen John Mateer. I think that's going to be extremely helpful. They've got a pretty simple route tree that takes a lot of the guesswork away for quarterbacks. First read, good. Second read, if it's not there, tuck it and run. I think that's going to help the guy out. We got to see it, though. I mean, just like everything else coming into the season, we talked about, we think this is going to be good. We think we had to see it coming in. We have, and Michael Hawkins is no different. But as I'll repeat, I think the team around him is good enough. He doesn't have to be Superman. I mean, just go out and be a good quarterback, take care of the football, don't turn it over. I mean, that absolutely killed Oklahoma last year, his game against South Carolina.
Last year, let's be honest.
Oh, he did. And, yeah, I mean,
for everyone that wanted to
it came back to bite him. I mean, I guess when you're trying to do too much, it's tough to take care of the football. And that game against South Carolina at home, three turnovers in the first 5 minutes. Game was 21-0. It was over. That's eventually what got him benched. Don't do that. I don't think he's going to have to do that or feel like he has to do that. You had a good team around you. Play a good college quarterback. Let the defense do their thing. And they can go beat Texas with Michael Hawkins. I'm not calling it, but it's possible. They can hold serve.
No doubt. I'm with you, man. I'm just kind of ready for next week. It's like as great as this bye week is because it gives them another week to really get Hawkins ready. You know, I almost hate it. I wish there was a game this Saturday now with everything that went on. You know, just where we could see some results.
Well, we got plenty of good games to go. What a slate this weekend. Mr. Random, does Washington keep it close or win against Ohio State? Not going to win. Washington's number 2 scoring offense in the country.
I don't think they win, but I definitely think they can keep it close because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know how sold I'm on Ohio State either.
Same.
I mean, their young quarterback, yeah, they beat Texas 14-7, and he's lit it up ever since. But he hasn't played competition since.
Uh,
This is gonna Washington's at least got a pulse. Can they test him early? Like if they were, because they can score, Dave, if they got out to like somehow a 10-0 lead, does a young kid start pressing himself? Anything can happen. That young guy's back there and they get down, maybe throw an interception for a pick six, and next thing you know, that mind starts going 100 miles an hour. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I'm like you. I like Ohio State, but it wouldn't shock me if it's a game in the fourth quarter.
No, he does have Jeremiah Smith to throw the ball to, which if I'm quarterback, I don't care if he's open or not. It's going out to the guy. Whether he's covered, I don't care. But we'll see. I like Ohio State to win as well. That's not the only big game. You kind of touched on it a little while ago. Georgia and Alabama. I'm going to take Georgia. Look, this ain't Nick Saban. Kirby Smart doesn't have that mental hurdle to get over. It's a different Alabama team, man. Georgia owns both lines of scrimmages. They're still the more physical team. And I like them to win by 10 plus, to be honest with you.
I'm like you. I think Alabama gets bitch slapped yet again. They play competition, they get beat. I've said it forever. Bama's, I think, are they going to be one of about 10 teams looking for a head coach after this year?
Wow. 2 years and gone, huh?
Oh, I said that when they hired him.
Yeah. I didn't like the fit. I wouldn't call him 2 years, but you're probably, if it is a bad year, yeah, he's probably out.
Yeah, I mean, so I just don't see him doing a whole lot against that Georgia defense. Even though I will say this, Georgia's defense gave up a hell of a lot of points to Tennessee. But the difference is this one is between the hedges.
Well, that's your boy Josh Heupel. He can coach offense now.
Yeah. Is that a loop?
Yeah, they did. I don't think there's a lot of elite defenses in the SEC this year, to be honest. I think Oklahoma and Texas are probably it right now.
I fully agree. It's kind of crazy to say that. Think about this. Oklahoma and Texas come from the conference with no defense, right?
Right. The joke.
And within 2 seasons, they're the best defenses in the league. And I don't know if it's close, to be honest with you. Georgia's really talented. Don't get me wrong.
But they got a lot of points to Tennessee.
They got a lot of young guys they're pushing in there. And I think maybe that's the difference. Can you sit here and tell me, can I sit here and tell you maybe the talent level on Georgia is better than either one of those? But they're young,
Right.
And I think you're seeing some of that against Tennessee, and I expect Kirby to have them better going in this week off a bye week. I don't think they get lit up quite like that from Alabama.
No, I don't either. And Gunnar Stockton, their insurance salesman quarterback, and a long line of unathletic guys that weren't 5 stars that do nothing but win national championships and big games at Georgia. He'll go do his thing and they'll win it. Penn State and Oregon. James Franklin is still the coach of Penn State, right?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to take Oregon to win.
Same here. Yeah, it's like I don't care. I don't care that the defensive coordinators change. No, James Franklin's head coach. I mean, my God, he's the only coach that doesn't get fired for losing big games.
No, it's tough. I mean, look, if you're Penn State and you're making playoffs and you're winning 11 games, are you really that happy, but you just can't quite get over the hump and beat teams that it might be 50-50 against? That's a tough spot, but he's never won one that I've ever checked out. I don't think it's going to happen against Dan Lanning, Oregon.
I'm right there with you. And my thing is, this game's in Penn State, isn't it?
Yes.
Am I wrong? Yeah. I will say it's going to be interesting to see because I've done it all year long. Pick against a young quarterback on the road. It's going to be interesting to see more go on the road for the first time because I will say that's a hostile environment. But again, the equalizing factor is Franklin's on the sideline.
What else? We got LSU, Ole Miss. I don't think either one of these coaches are exactly Hall of Fame worthy. I've never understood the fascination with Lane Kiffin. He sucked at USC and got fired. He sucked at Tennessee, and got fired. He's been okay at Ole Miss. I think LSU, top to bottom, has got more athletes. So I'm going to take the Tigers to win it.
Yeah, no, I'm going Rebels here. Until they prove to me they got an offense, I don't know if they can score. I mean, my God, if Lagway if he isn't colorblind, they lose to Florida in Baton Rouge.
True.
I mean, and so
I don't know what's going on with Nussmeier. It's weird.
I know, and the way the offense has been rolling for Ole Miss the last couple of weeks, and again, I'm not making them out that they were playing world beaters because I think LSU's defense is pretty good. I kind of like what I think Kiffin will be able to draw up, offensively. And I'm not sure with, like you say, I don't know what's going on with Nussmeier. I'm not sure LSU can answer offensively right now.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic slate, even with Oklahoma off. Who does Texas have?
They're off too.
Florida. No, it's
No,
next week. Are they off too? Okay.
they're off too. Which, by the way, Lagway was in a boot this week.
Yeah.
That may be the 7th out of the 10 games Texas plays
Crazy.
with a backup quarterback. Just saying, it's crazy. And that's not it. I'm not using that to slight Texas. I'm just like, how in the hell does that keep happening? I'm like, what voodoo do they have going on in Austin to go, oh, your quarterback doesn't need to play? I'm like, where's the voodoo doll? That's what I want to know, because it's insane, man.
Dude, we just talked last week. I'm like, you know what? That soft schedule for Texas we thought looking a little bit tougher with Oklahoma and A&M and Vanderbilt. And lo and behold, 2 days later, OU loses the starting quarterback for the game. I don't think there's any way Mateer's back. I don't care what's said. That week, you'll probably hear like, well, there's a chance. He's been at Pratt. No, I don't think he's going to play. And it'll be up to Michael Hawkins to go out and try to get Brent 2-2 or 1-3.
I think tomorrow will be the interesting one because that's availability. And it's really interesting, Dave. It was supposed to be tonight, the availability. So I'm not going to say we're going to have an answer whether Mateer's back, because they're gonna do the gamesmanship. But I think the answers they get tomorrow night will be interesting to see, because they're going to have a better idea how the surgery went today and everything like that.
Sure.
I think we'll be able to read a little into the answers, whether, hey, they really feel positive that he could come back, because Pete Nokos even said that yesterday.
Well, you saying like if it was game? Are you saying if it was game week, it would have been tonight, and that's why it's okay? I got you.
No, it was just because it's a bye week, so they didn't do the Monday, Tuesday availability.
Right.
So originally scheduled, it was for tonight. Well, they didn't have. Well, that's what I think. The surgery was this morning, and Brent knows he's going to get asked questions. Yeah. I'm sure they want to have a better idea about how the surgery went. So we're not going to get an answer, but you might get a better read about how they answer the questions, whether, hey, the break wasn't as bad as they thought. Okay, the break was worse than they thought, so on and so forth. I think you might be able to try to read. You'll try to be able to read tea leaves some tomorrow is what I'm trying to say, in my opinion.
We'll start hearing, I'm sure, all kinds of stuff over the next couple of weeks coming out about, it might be 2 weeks, might be 15 days, might be 6 months. Everybody's going to have to make up their own mind what they believe. But, the facts are the next time you see him step on the field will be when you see him step on the field. Richard McCleary, fortune is wild. Texas has nothing to do with other teams' health before we play. Yeah, we know that, man.
Yeah, that's why we were saying a voodoo doll. Somebody, I'm not saying Texas did it. It's like somebody's got a doll, because it's just crazy. I don't think we've ever seen, and I'm not just saying this, I would say the same if it was Oklahoma. Sure. I don't think we've ever seen a team that just like, oh, look, getting ready to start conference play. Back up. It's like, it's kind of the running joke, even around national media, because it's just kind of like, how does that happen? What kind of fortune is that? Because, fortune is wild. It's just like, it's just head scratcher. I mean, think about even the SEC title game.
I know.
Beck gets knocked out and Stockton comes in and plays.
But...
Well, I know, but still, it's just like, wow. It's just like, it's just crazy to think.
Maybe when they were going through all their bad times after Max, somebody made a deal with somebody, and here we are. That person is probably being haunted by a demon or whatever. But I don't know,
because it usually turns the other way eventually, and that's the scary part.
Oklahoma's there right now, but look, again, for the last time, everybody take a breath. You've got a hell of a team around Michael Hawkins. You got a quarterback that is more than capable of winning football games for the hopefully short time that John Mateer is out of action. But Randy, you got anything you want to wrap up with?
Just real fast, I think one game we didn't talk about that's going to be interesting. I'm still not sold on him, because I think maybe the state of Alabama is looking for 2 new head coaches this year. But I think that Auburn game at A&M, it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back, because they've used a lot of excuses this week about basically getting screwed, which in my opinion, that is all well and good to say behind the scenes, but coaches to kind of be out doing that's not a good way to go into a next week when you've got a big game. It's not like they have to State next week. Yes. Yeah, and so it's kind of like, how are they focused? Because I think they have a chance to beat A&M. I think A&M's good. I don't think they're a world beater. And if Jackson Arnold truthfully plays the way he did against Oklahoma, They could win in College Station. But if you're making excuses still on yesterday with Freeze, I don't know where this team is focused at right now, and that scares me. But I think that'll be an interesting game to watch as well Saturday. It's going to be a fun
No.
slate of games.
Yeah, well, no, that's a good call. I just forgot to talk about it. But yeah, that game is intriguing to me. Auburn has the whiniest fan base I've ever seen in my life. The biggest bunch of bitches. OSU has a little brother complex because they got OU in the same state. Auburn takes that tenfold. I guess Alabama has just bitch slapped them enough to where they cower down. But the
What's sad is
excuse,
they're more competitive than OSU was.
oh,
Anyway,
they
sorry.
actually win national championships. I mean, you think like Auburn's been a good program. You think their fans would learn how to act like it. But by God, the excuses coming out of these people and not letting it go, and just the difference between Michigan when they came to Norman and left, their fan base was like, "I hate that we lost, but great atmosphere. You guys were awesome." It's
Yeah.
the exact opposite. You see Auburn fans cheering the fact Mateer got hurt. It's a classless, trashy fan base, and I'm glad that they lost. And I think they can beat A&M, but I'm going to pull for the Aggies to kick their ass because I lost all respect for Auburn this week.
I do think it's funny though. I mean, look, no one wanted Mateer to get hurt, but when they've been whining and crying, I thought the funniest thing was when Mateer got hurt and you found out he broke his hand in the first half. It's like I don't remember which show you fan goes, guys, you lost to a guy that hurt his hand on the first drive. It's like suck eggs, buddy. I mean, like, what are y'all whining about? The quarterback was hurt and you still lost. Hey, Richard McCleary's right. Texas fans want Mateer to play. I think they do.
Yep, they
Would
do.
love to have full strength because, yeah, each team wants this as a resume building win. And it's not like you're going to lose anything from your resume if you win this game. Texas won't if they win it. But also, it's a built in help for OU if they lose it, if they go ahead and win games later and Mateer's healthy when it comes to a battle for making the playoff spot. I mean, everyone wants this and wants the good competition because Texas hasn't played great teams since Ohio State. They want to play Oklahoma at their top where they can see what do we need to improve on? What do we need to get better at? That's the reason why these two games I think are big for Texas over the next 2 weeks, Florida and Oklahoma, because until you get really pushed, Dave, you don't know where you need to improve. And I think that's one thing that will help. I'll be honest. I think that's one thing, even though they're going to play Florida, it's going to be an advantage Oklahoma has going into this game when they played in Dallas. They're going to have those two really good games under their belt against Auburn and Michigan. I'm not sure how good the Florida game is going to be yet because I don't know about Lagway.
Yeah, Oklahoma's battle tested. That's one thing you can't say about them this year. They've been through the fire and they have overcome some stuff to win when they've had to have it in the fourth quarter. And that's usually the mark of a good football team. And I'll take it one step further. I mean, being in the games at the Cotton Bowl, those 2 or 3 years that were just blow, that's not fun for anybody on either side. I mean, I talk to Texas fans, friends with a lot of Texas fans. They don't like that. They don't enjoy being there. They want Oklahoma and Texas to be a war in the Cotton Bowl and a classic game that is talked about for years to come. And it sucks when one or the other lose their starter. I mean, deep down to win the game, I'm sure they're like, yes, let's go. We got their backup. But I think all in all, Texas fans would love to see that matchup of Arch and Mateer is kind of what was billed. And it sucks that's not going to be the case. But life goes on. Ought to still be a pretty good game. And I'm with you. Oklahoma going into that game is the more battle tested team of the two.
Can I say one other thing as we wrap up? Because you were talking to Texas. People getting on to Arch for talking trash to the Sam Houston guy, I have zero problem with. That's
Oh, I
athletes
don't either.
being
Yeah.
athletes. I mean, granted, it's Sam Houston. It's like, okay, calm down, son. But at the same time, what the problem is, what is Texas doing? Why is the official account tweeting like trash when he did that? I'm like, dude, y'all are Texas. You're playing Sam Houston. Celebrate the win. I mean, don't. I was like, that's your official account? That is wild. That is whacked out, man. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's one thing for the players, but I'm like, Texas, don't do that crap. You're better than that.
Yeah.
You're better than that one.
Some intern got that one off and fired it out. I had no problem with Arch, man. It looked like, it's probably something he's coached up to do. Play with an attitude, man. It's football. Because he looked kind of just flat the last couple games.
To do this year. Think about that.
Well, that's true. I mean, look, I've got nothing against Arch. You see the competition he played in Louisiana, you're like, how exactly does one earn the 5-star? But look, 7-on-7 camps and all that stuff that people get graded. He's one of the better quarterbacks out of high school, you know, in the entire country. So I get it. But I had no problem with him showing a little emotion, even though it's Sam Houston State, whatever. People blow stuff out of proportion.
Yeah, but I just thought it was crazy the official account did it. I'm like, oh, okay. I had to go back and see that it was actually them. I was like, wow.
Actually, Texas and not like Barstool, Texas.
And see, Richard's right. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. First year starter. Let the kid have fun. Exactly.
Right. That's right. Have some fun playing ball.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's funny how fans get overblown each way, you know, building them up and then tearing them down. That's just part of college athletics, right?
Gotta love it. That's what we love, and that's what we do. Randy, I'm starting to lose you in the dark. You're starting to blend in with your brick wall back there.
For some reason, the lights aren't coming on out here. I've got lights hung up in the patio, but yeah, they're not coming on.
Well, it's starting to get close to Halloween. Don't let that ghost behind you get you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think we're good for now. The dog will bark at it.
Everybody, thanks for watching tonight. We'll be back next week to recap. Well, not recap anything for Oklahoma. We will be looking fully ahead to the Red River Shootout in Dallas, Texas. This time,
Kent State. You got to look forward to Kent State.
I want to get over that game. You know where my mind's at, and I'm ready for Dallas.
I'm joking. Everyone is. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk. What are they? The Flyers, the Racers, or the Golden Flash? Wow, lame. All right, we'll talk about the Golden Flash next week.